Okay, here's the thing. YouTube cannot have the role of being the arbiter of what is scientifically accurate. It is a rich tapestry of grifters who simply ride the anti-establishment fervor towards prominence because it's an easy in for them. People like seeing grifters get smacked down, right? It's like a WWF event or something, so I just drop my little nuclear bomb, watch the aftermath. Peter Thiel, among many others, they are putting a lot of money into keeping people confused, ignorant, and distrustful of expertise. Your default position should be whatever the consensus is within the scientific community, that's where you start. People who are offering information that runs contrary to scientific consensus, that's what you need to be the most skeptical about. Just learn real science. It's plenty interesting, I promise. Just learn real factual information. There's a lot of it for you. Yeah.
We have very different viewpoints on many things.
But a lot of these issues are American issues. They're not Republican or Democrat issues.
Welcome back to Elevated Thoughts. Tonight, we have the pleasure of hanging out with Dave Farina, better known as Professor Dave Explains on YouTube. He makes tough science easy, but also swings hard at the internet's worst conspiracy grifters. Because when legit experts stay quiet, those charlatans tend to rush in, churn out the rage bait they do, and cash in on all that bad info. So Dave is one of the few creators on the front lines pushing back. Dave, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, doing awesome. And thanks for coming on, man. So your latest combo, dismantling Graham Hancock's alt history claims, and then you went on to Ashton Forbes' MH370 theories. It really showcased your ability to have this brilliant, cool-headed snark, if I dare. And personally, I couldn't get enough of it. So tell me, what pulled you into these two stories, and why'd you feel that these needed a full video, right, for each? In fact, Ashton got two, right?
Ashton got two because of his childish response. For Graham didn't speak up, but he kind of had his minions do it for him. So Dan Richards got a second video because he acted very child. It really doesn't fail. At this point, my channel is of a size where if I make a video on somebody, I can count on them responding because it's this huge event for them, right? Dave went after me. It's it's good and bad, right? It's bad because it's a hassle. I can't just debunk somebody and then just let it be. But also people enjoy the drama, and so I get, views that way. So, it's a blessing and a curse. As for Graham, I just, I don't know. I started kind of noticing this pseudo-archaeology cult. It had been around for a while. I wasn't really aware of it for a long time. But then I started to kind of learn about it and see how crazy it was. Actually, I think Billy Carson was the first person that I debunked. I debunked his Anunnaki crap because I had debunked Terrence Howard. And then all these people were like, I bet you won't debunk Billy Carson. I'm like, all right, I'll debunk him then. And so that
Why do they make it so easy for you to get all this content?
I know. Oh my gosh. It's just a never ending sea of grifters. So I got into the Graham thing, and then I started talking to Milo Rossi, and I started talking to Flint Dibble, and I was like, hey, just let's have it be a little bit of a team effort here in terms of Flint did the debate, so it's easiest to talk to him about these talking points. And then I corresponded with a few other archaeologists as well. And I wanted to put together a real banger of pseudo-archaeology. Just if you're like pseudo-archaeology, who are these people? What is this? It's just sort of a standalone piece of here's everything that's been going on. Here's why all of these people are frauds. And that cult is very toxic. So I'm continuing. I did a Dan Richards video. I'm going to do a Jimmy Corsetti video. I really want to bury these clowns. They're so obnoxious. And then Ashton Forbes, I didn't know who he was at all. I actually had a physicist reach out to me and say, hey, would you want to debunk this guy? He's really obnoxious and encroaching in our space. And so very frequently people email me almost every day, with debunk requests, and most of them are just not worthy targets. Some of them I file away for later, but some of them oh, okay, this, let's get going on this. This sounds good. So
Yeah, so it's been quite an interesting arc with Ashton. We'll just say that it's been going on for a couple of years now. But
yeah.
I'm sure you've seen in him what you probably see in some of the other takedowns you've done. What are some common denominators that you see amongst them? Right, it's this double-edged sword, as you said it before, is because it is a big event when you actually address them. Right, they want this, but then it also plays into that victim ideology that they
Right.
love to profess and claim all the time.
Well, he didn't want this. I mean, my channel is of a size where it's problematic if I address you. If I was a little like 10,000 subscriber channel, then he could be like, "Oh, look at them, they're attacking me." But for me to do it, like there's like
Sure.
upwards of 1 million people who have never heard of this guy who now know exactly what a joke he is, and many of them go in there and troll him, and so it's just fun for him to receive some of the toxicity, even a fraction of what he puts out. But in terms of the telltale signs, I mean, extreme. I mean, it's very clear how mentally ill he is. Even just watching him for a little bit, the delusions of grandeur, the victimization complex, these bold claims, right? All the mainstream physicists, right? Every physicist in the world is an idiot, and I am a genius, even though I don't know anything about physics. And every time I speak about physics, I humiliate myself by saying the most trivially stupid crap. So yeah, it's all there. And then the grifting, the $50,000 fake energy devices, the peddling conspiracy, the government is evil, this thing is evil, this institution is evil, right? The anti-establishment narrative is obviously everywhere in there. Yeah, he hits them all.
It's been crazy that because we interviewed Ashton as well, and then we went on to interview a debunker and another journalist who actually studies aviation. And similar with Flint, we actually never interviewed the other side. We invited one or two on, but it's interesting how you just get pulled in to the community. And I'm wondering if you ever get weighed or bogged down with that stuff, because you mentioned you run it past Flint. You definitely spoke with some scientists or physicists to go through the details of the Ashton video. But do you ever get in the weeds and find that the dorks who are commenting on your stuff, like, they stick around and you feel like you have to go back at them, or you kind of just let the haters hate?
Well, trolls are nothing. I mean, they're like mosquitoes. I mean, I at this point I block pretty liberally. Like if you're very clearly trolling, I don't have
Right.
time for that. Otherwise, extended comment threads, right? One thing I like to do is just remind them repeatedly that they didn't watch my video, right? It's
Yeah.
just, oh, you're a shill. Where am I wrong in this video? Oh, but you're a blah, blah. Where am I wrong in this video? So, and then extended comment threads do boost the content in the algorithm. So sometimes I take advantage of trolls. If they're really incessant, shit posting 10, 20 times, I'll just block them. So really, no, I definitely don't get dragged into the community. I mean, I can't. I don't have time for that. Like, there are definitely debunkers that are devoted to individual communities. There are pseudo-archaeology debunkers. There are flat earth debunkers. There are, medical misinformation debunkers. I do all of this. So there's absolutely no way for me to, if I was dealing with that, I would never make content. So I kind of ignore it. I just drop my little nuclear bomb, watch the aftermath, gauge if I need to revisit. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. The really, really smart ones shut their mouths and don't say anything, hoping that I will move on to the next target. And it has worked. There are people who have done that, and I never got around back to them. So, yeah.
So I think it's a careful balance, right? Because you don't want to give too much oxygen to the fire, but at the same time, when you got to slap them down, you got to slap them down. And I think the whole the flat Earth final experiment debacle and how that's kind of turned out encapsulates that. And it's funny, I do feel bad at some level, but then I don't, because I notice what they've done to believers of the spherical Earth theory in the past and how much they've given them crap, but to watch them then go back into their own communities and get so much shade from fellow flat earthers, it's kind of crazy to watch them turn on themselves. And then you realize it's never really been about the truth, right? It's been about this notoriety, popularity online, and it almost feels like that projection of something was missing in real life, so they got to create this persona online. It's pretty brutal.
100% accurate. It's a little cult and they vie for supremacy within the cult. And then when somebody, yeah, they cannibalize each other when given the opportunity. It's really pathetic. The flat earth cult is the single most pathetic of all of them. The level of delusion is absolutely unmatched. But yeah, seeing what's been happening to Witsit, I mean, Jaren is no longer a flat earther. Witsit is still trying to figure out how to grift from that community. I haven't checked to see how successful he's been. I don't really think about him at all, but yeah.
One of the awesome things is that the algorithms on YouTube and just generally on social media are such geared towards the clickbait, right? And
Mhm.
that's how these charlatans, as we've called them, kind of elevate themselves. But you've found this niche that combines real information with that, dare I call it, the clickbait, but the
Mhm.
sensationalism to want to watch it. And I really think you've blended it brilliantly. That it's been a big challenge of our show, Dave, because we really
Yeah.
want to keep things authentic and try to, share our real feelings, but we definitely want to keep it science-based or factually based. And it's been very difficult where people don't care about the real truth on YouTube. People care about where is Atlantis and who's going to find it, or
Yeah.
what's the next piece of drama. And so I'm wondering how you've balanced. I guess, is it a factor of entertainment or ha-
I mean, it is about entertainment. I mean, here's the thing: people do care about the truth, and they are on YouTube to get the truth, but they're privy to the same laws of the primitive brain and the clickbait and what we're drawn to with the thumbnails. And so, yeah, I definitely uh provide a certain level of like drama that adds to the incentive, right? People are incentivized to watch because they people like seeing grifters get smacked down, right? It's like a WWF event or something. So
Sure.
there's in that sense there is a slight element of clickbait to it, but
Well, let
also
me clarify though.
yeah.
Is YouTube responsible for disinformation, right? Is the algorithm responsible for negative consequences or
Do,
unintended
do you feel like
consequences?
you've had a more, maybe it's something I've noticed and maybe you feel it too. I've followed your channel for a little while and you do really well when you're like, quote unquote, destroyed this person, devastated, this person. And it seems
Yeah,
like, those do the 100,000 views and stuff like that. And have you felt like you had to do more and more of that kind of clickbaity stuff as time has gone on?
kind of. I mean, maybe a little bit. Yeah, yeah, what are the ones that, I mean, yeah, you can tell from the title and the thumbnail and the target. I guess it just also depends on, I mean, it's also how viral the target is going. Like my
Right.
first Terrence
Yeah.
Howard video went very viral because his Joe Rogan appearance was very viral,
Hmm.
and people were searching for that. And there was a period of at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, where my video was the first search result for Terrence Howard. Just Terrence Howard, not
Wow.
Terrence Howard, Joe Rogan, or anything like that.
Right.
So
Congrats.
everybody was talking about so so I was feeding off of virality in that instance, and I've tried to do that a handful of other times. Recently, I just did. Everybody was talking about Eric Weinstein
Yeah.
and Sean Carroll on Piers Morgan, so I turned that one around really fast, and that one's got about coming up on 1 million views. So I don't know. I mean, then like the Lord Jamar thing, the Lord Jamar smackdown, like that kind of made its rounds, and people within a certain community were kind of amplifying that. It's hard to know what'll happen. It's hard. I definitely have had videos that I thought would be pretty big that weren't, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
there are ones that I'm kind of surprised that they get as many views as they do. Um, I don't know. I guess the only change that I've made is that I'm just trying to pump out a higher volume of the content
Okay.
because I know it's a crapshoot. And so I'm just trying to put as much out there as possible. And I think that I think that it's been a combination of sporadic virality
Hmm.
with a returned audience because I've sort of built a brand on both entertainment and integrity, right? People know that they're getting factual information. They know that whoever my target is, it's a worthy target, even when they think it might not be. Right? With Sabina Hassenfelder, it took a few videos, but people came around and they were like, "My bad, you were totally right. This had to happen. She needed to be exposed." So people kind of know that, and I'm more likely to get the return viewers but it's a slow process of courting the algorithm, courting the audience, and everything like that.
Yeah, I see you started doing some commentary videos now, just over a glass of whiskey or beer or something like that, because it's like you have to strike when the iron's hot, right? You
Sure.
got to keep up with the pace of it, and it's almost like blinding. And we would try to do a weekly show here, and it's difficult at times to get sustainable. So I can only imagine with you, who's constantly chasing after moving targets and things like
Yeah.
that. But I did not get a chance to watch it yet, but it's on my watch list to do. I noticed you made a video about your favorite teardowns, your tier list.
The
So
tier
I
list,
guess you could give maybe a preview to us and myself a little bit before we get a chance to watch your video. What were some of your favorite takedowns?
I mean, so yeah, I did my in January when I did my 10th anniversary video for the channel. I did a little my top 10 favorite, debunks, people that I've debunked. Number one was James Tour for sure, just because that was just a saga. And not only was it a saga, but like I'm the figure that's primarily responsible for exposing him, right? There are other people out there, like a lot of people make content on flat earthers, a lot of people make content on
Right.
anti-vaxxers, etc. But James Tour was just this figure that just like I took it upon myself. I'm gonna ruin this guy, and I totally did. He's universally known to be a complete fraud, largely due to my content. So that was my favorite. I don't remember what came before that. I know that like Ben Davidson was there just because I had a really good video with some good journalism in there. I probably said Terrence Howard up there just because it was so funny. All the Discovery Institute guys, the Discovery Institute series, I'm very proud of
Sure.
as well. Yeah.
I haven't seen the Discovery Institute. So I think that a part of this whole problem is this distrust in institutions, right? And we talk about it all the time on the show, the political divide that's happening. That's how this podcast started. Mike is the left wing, I'm the right winger. And actually over the last year and a half, we've kind of meshed towards the middle where we don't even like the sides anymore. And so I'm wondering if you think that these grifters are elevated due to this, and they contribute to it, obviously, but is it even bigger than it? Is it a political problem? Is it systemic in our country? Or is it just that these jerks are making a buck and they're able to do it? I mean, why isn't YouTube blocking them, right? Why isn't YouTube blocking them for misinformation? It seems like they're the ones that do this anyway.
Yeah. So with YouTube, it's hard because you want okay, here's the thing. YouTube cannot have the role of being the arbiter of what is scientifically accurate. That's not realistic to expect from them. And so there are things that are so blatantly false that if you violate community guidelines, you can get videos taken down, things like that. Or at the very least, you get the little banner for the flat earth. They do the banner. And if
Right.
he lies about vaccines, they might put a banner there, kind of like they do on X. They have that as well. But like for niche things, like we can't really expect YouTube to be the equivalent of like, a scientific research based institution that is going to determine what is scientifically accurate and inaccurate. So it's not really on YouTube. I mean, it is definitely on the grifters. It is a rich tapestry of grifters who simply ride the anti-establishment fervor towards prominence because it's an easy in for them, right? If anyone who is an actual expert with any kind of credentials whatsoever, they're lying frauds. So you believe me, random asshole on YouTube. But it also does go deeper than that. It is a very deliberate propaganda campaign that is backed by wealthy oligarchs. Peter Thiel, among many others, they are putting a lot of money into keeping people confused, ignorant, and distrustful of expertise. That's a very deliberate thing that is going on right now. That's very clear.
I guess, what are the things we could do to push back against it? I noticed that you've revived a series that had kind of gone quiet for a little while, but we actually interview the scientists and or people on the ground and doing this research. Because I think that's what a lot of this is either willful naivete. People don't want to go out of the way and actually see what real science looks like. But I think that just most people are divorced from that, what goes on there. So tell me a little bit about that series. I know you've been bringing it back.
Sure. Yeah, you want to disempower this anti-establishment narrative as much as possible, and that looks like a lot of different things. Obviously, I'm very focused on debunking charlatans and false narratives, but also I want to help people see what scientists are, because most people have no idea. Most people don't know any scientists, genuinely have no idea what scientists do. And so I'm trying to help rehabilitate the public sentiment regarding scientists, the scientific community, scientific institutions, etc., and just help them understand, hey, these are just people. And so I think that once a lot of people always knew that. Some people were kind of falling down that pipeline, and I can help them right before they fall and show them, okay, I had a slight inherent bias. This type of anti-establishment narrative was ensnaring me. I now see what that rhetoric is like. I know who's doing it. I know why they're doing it. And now I'm a little more immune to that. And so it's just sort of a lesson of like, look, your default position should be whatever the consensus is within the scientific community, that's where you start. People who are offering information that runs contrary to scientific consensus, that's what you need to be the most skeptical about. It doesn't mean it's necessarily 100% false, but you should come at it like, who the hell are you? Oh, you're not even a scientist. You're just some jerk. I'm pretty sure you're wrong. And then on the contrary, on the flip side, scientific consensus isn't itself always guaranteed to be right. But that is where we start. That's where we are. And then you examine new information as it comes. What is the reliability of this source?
Right.
That needs to be the default position of everybody. And you can retain skepticism, and you can retain distrust of institutions, right? Giant corporations and the government and et cetera. Like, yeah, it's not like they're always telling us the truth or anything like that. But you want to start like first of all, it's decoupling the scientific community from industry, right? What is true scientifically is not determined by profit motives, right? It's just how the universe is. And all of that.
So with the profit motives, which you just said that the disinformation cohort has, I mean, they are motivated to put out disinformation. And I'm curious, like, I know when I look at Terrence Howard, he's a great example of someone who is fully bought into what he is saying. I really believe that in my heart, that this guy is not out there to make a buck. I mean, he's rich and famous already.
No,
a guy like Ashton, maybe it's a little bit different, or Graham Hancock, right? Maybe over the career, he's known that there's some holes in these theories. And I'm wondering what your opinion is, Dave. Do you think that these guys are doing it for the clicks, for the fame, for the notoriety, or do they really, in many cases, and I think I'm on that side, I think in many cases, these folks actually believe what they're pushing, at least 80-90%. I really do think that.
I don't. I think very few of them are. I think that there are some examples. I think religious indoctrination is an area where that sometimes holds true. Like, for example, James Tour really thinks that he's in the right. He's that, like, up there. Somebody like Terrence Howard is mentally ill, right? I think that he has a number of personality disorders, possibly schizophrenic. Nevertheless, the way that he continues to evade any criticism and continue down this path. And then I don't know if you saw my last video when he went on the PBD podcast and he's charging $800 a minute to talk to him on the phone, and like he's clearly just, no matter how small this pool of gullible people are, even if it's 100 people, what can I milk out of these people? How much money can I milk out of these people? It's 100 people, 1 million people, whatever it is. These grifters are all trying to find this small community of people that hold them up as an expert and will pay money to go to a retreat or buy a book, or even just continued AdSense revenue can be significant enough, even for somebody like Ashton Forbes. I'm sure he's not making a ton on AdSense revenue, but it's enough to motivate him to keep doing it,
Right.
Yeah. I think it's quite a bit, actually. I mean, you definitely know better than us with that small channel of 10,000 you described, but I imagine he's making, he could quit his job by now, I would hope. But that's definitely motive for sure.
So it kind of speaks to then the crusade that it feels like you must be on. And I got to ask if it's tiring, because it's the question we had. We hosted a Flint Dibble on our show a while back too. And I think it's really important to push back on these voices and these, anti-science anti-intelligentsia communities, but it's got to be exhausting. I can't imagine, like you said, it's hard to keep up with these trolls you just have to kind of move along with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm
And you
tired
have to make
all the
yourself a
time.
jack of all, right? You have to become an expert in every one of these fields.
Yeah, or not an expert. I mean, that's why I rely on experts, right? I'm a generalist, and I make it very clear what my expertise is. It is chemistry and neighboring fields. So I can speak with extreme confidence on chemistry and some confidence on biochemistry, biology, certain areas of physics, astronomy, things of that nature. But like archaeology, absolutely not. I'm working with the archaeological community to bring factual information. Anything medical. I mean, I certainly understand medical news and things like that because I understand biology, but I'm not an epidemiologist, an immunologist, et cetera. I am working with experts in the medical community, right? I'm always going to be doing that. I'm always going to be kind of acting as that conduit between the general public and the scientific community. And I do not put on any airs of being an expert in any individual scientific field. But yeah, I think because I'm a generalist and because I've taken upon myself to kind of go as broad as humanly possible and just debunk whatever I perceive as being the most damaging at any given moment, I'm exhausted all the time. The queue, I have like a Word document of like what's next up, and it just gets longer and longer, and I'm trying to pump out more content per week. And yeah, it's just crazy. I'm working pretty much all the time. But
So I know you have your background in chemistry and physics, and you did a little bit of teaching with those topics. So my question is, what do you enjoy talking about? Because what I actually really enjoy about your channel is it's not just physics and chemistry. Actually, it covers a ton of topics. And I even, in my spare time with, I have a 10-month-old, just to fill the time, I'll pop on some of the River Valley civilization videos you covered a little
cool.
bit, and it brings me back. And I got to ask, what's your favorite off topic to cover, outside of the work that you feel like you have this queue of topics you need to get to? What really interests you in your spare time?
Yeah. Well, the debunks are fun to make, I won't lie. But the tutorials can be enjoyable too, because I do learn. It has been interesting learning about world history and anthropology and stuff like that, because I really did not have any knowledge base in those topics. Excuse me. I would say astronomy is what I'm the most just like genuinely riveted by in like a
Oh, wow.
childlike wonder kind of a way. I've always been obsessed with space stuff since I was a little kid. I've been also very, I've been enjoying making like zoology content,
Okay.
learning about all the different animal phyla. That's been really cool. Yeah, kind of whatever. Like, there's really no topic that's not interesting if you are covering it in a thorough and clear manner. Everything is interesting, really.
So I
Yeah,
think that's what
definitely.
most folks miss, right? Or they turn to, say, Graham Hancock because of the sensational stories about Atlantis. But
Yeah.
for me, as you touched on it before, astronomy, like I love listening to like Neil deGrasse Tyson or even Carl Sagan. A bigger voice, with heavier, headier, quotes and things like that. But I think that there's really true wonderment in the science, and I think that people are getting robbed
Yeah.
of it by listening to these charlatans, right? Like that.
Just learn real it's plenty interesting, I promise. Just learn real factual information. There's a lot of it
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Well, Professor Dave Explains has found a way to make real information just as engaging as misinformation. And so we thank you as science communicators, or wannabe as ourselves. So thank you for that, Dave.
Thank you.
We have a new segment we're trying out, and I want you to see if you can answer it. So there's a meme that says one man standing against the crowd, and he claims, "Yes, you are all wrong." I'm wondering if there's one thing that you're willing to die on the hill. What's your misinformation pet peeve?
Oh, you mean wait, I don't
W-
in which thing am
One
I the one guy?
Yeah,
Or
No,
exactly.
no, you're the one guy that's saying, "Hey, I really believe everyone is wrong about this one thing." Is there something that you were,
And it
you're
could be
very
kind of mainstream consensus. I kind of give you an example. I like to thank Neil deGrasse Tyson to drop another name drop there. He talks about how the summers are actually after that the solstice, the days are getting shorter. So we have this conception that that days are getting longer in the summer, but actually it's the mark point is when they get shorter and shorter. It's just a function of our daylight savings time, right? So it's just
Oh,
even
yeah, yeah.
something silly like
Mhm.
that.
Well, I knew that about the solstice. I don't know. I mean, I'm generally just aligned with whatever's accurate. I would say the one thing that's been the most frustrating is trying to explain aspects of sex and gender identity and stuff like that,
Okay,
because the anti-trans fervor is so mainstream.
right.
And so I've made some content on that, and just the backlash has been unreal. And luckily, a lot of people have been like, oh, like, I didn't know any of that. Now I kind of sort of understand that. I can kind of understand what a trans person is, right? It's just nothing political whatsoever, pure biology. Just here's some research into gender identity as a function of neuroanatomy, and this is what leads to this condition, if you want to call it that, whatever. So that's been definitely the one where I'm just everybody, like if you go in like science denial circles, all of them will say, Professor Dave, he doesn't even know what a woman is, or he thinks men can have babies, or blah blah. Okay, buddy. All right.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's
They
easy to
latch onto
straw
one
man, right?
thing.
Yeah.
Awesome, Dave. So listen, where can people find you? We're going to put all your links below, but what is your channel's name?
Professor Dave Explains. That's where it is.
Awesome. And you're on YouTube and everywhere, I guess?
You mean other than YouTube, or?
Yeah, are you?
Oh, I mean, I have an Instagram I barely use. I got suspended from Twitter, so not that. That's about it.
All right, so the
Awesome.
home
Well,
base is YouTube.
Mhm.
That's your core
YouTube.
competency, and it shows, man. Good
Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, hey, thank you so much. This was really illuminating. And everyone, seriously, go check out Professor Dave Explains, because it's an awesome channel. So thank you again, Dave. And this has been Elevated Thoughts.
Thank you, guys.